Anyway, I go through a whole week of speaking with my parents, very similar to how I had been speaking with Kathy True at OSA. Talking outrage references, talking this, talking that, talking about ideal orgs, talking about how, when's the next time the basics are going to be re-released, and when's the next time you're going to get your non-clear artifactor, and when's the next time there's going to be golden age of Tech 2. Oh, wait. Has that happened?
At that point, that's happened now.
Yeah, it hadn't
But at the time, yeah.
And funny enough, they got their non-clear artifactor, and they've had to redo steps, and they've, so just crazy, stupid stuff for a whole week. Just back and forth, and every night I'm driving back to Chrissy's place. And I'm staying with Chrissy because I just can't stay there. I can't just decompress and relax and think clearly when I'm there because it's just question. Now, throughout this whole week, I'm also reading everything about everything. The truth about...
On the internet,
yeah.
Oh, boy. So you're going down the rabbit hole now.
I am, yeah.
Okay.
And they're trying to keep me from doing that. But every day, it's just more questions and more stuff and
so now you're being exposed to real truth.
And the whole and the, all these stories and this and that and
are they telling you these are all just lies?
To
on
some
the internet,
degree, yeah.
or?
To some degree, yeah. They're telling me they're lies, exaggerated, media, SPs, the usual lines. You're trying to pick up policies on fundraising.
But they haven't even read this stuff that you're reading.
They have.
They
know a lot of it because they've been in OSA.
Yeah, but
they know the truth of it.
Yeah.
As well because they've been in OSA.
Yeah.
Now I don't think they know about the whole.
Okay.
I'm sure they think that's a lie.
Yeah.
But they don't. See, they have some information, right?
Right. Did you talk to them about? Had you like Snow White? Or any of that stuff? Or okay, so you're throwing other stuff at them.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some of it is more, again, it's all a blur. So exactly what was discussed every single night for 4 or 5 hours a night is a nightmare, to try to remember.
I'm tracking.
But I just remember policies and books and ethics books and
this is from your parents
PTSSP courses. This is in my living room, or my parents' living room.
Right.
Them trying to handle me.
Right.
Every night,
Right.
Yeah.
They're not answering your questions either.
Well, I'm pretty much spending the day with Chrissy and then evenings with them.
Oh, okay, got it.
So
you're bouncing between two poles here.
Yeah, completely.
Okay.
And in this meantime, I still want to figure everything out. I'm still brainwashed Scientologist. I still speak Scientologies. I still want to use the LRH policies and tech to figure everything out. There's got to be an answer somewhere, a way where all this actually makes sense.
Yeah.
And I'm determined. And but I'm getting the truth from both sides, from the internet, from Chrissy and Sam, from my parents, all that stuff. And there was one day, it's pretty much a day, going back a few days, it's pretty much a day where Chrissy and I came back from the hotel. My parents were waiting at Chrissy's house in their car. And the second I got there, they were like, we need to talk with you separately. We need to get you away from Chrissy and we just want to talk.
Yeah, divide and conquer.
Yeah, and so I go in there and I go to Chrissy and I'm like, hey, I'm just going to go with my parents for coffee, for a drink real quick. And so she comes out with me and my dad just apeshit starts screaming at her, pointing in her face. And he's 5'11", he's probably a little over 200 pounds. So he's a pretty big guy, and Chrissy's 5'3", she's like 110 pounds at the time or whatever. And he's like pointing in her face, like, you're not invited. Don't come with us. And just like, it's the first time I really started seeing a side of my parents that I had never seen before, And I think even maybe the next night or the night after that, that's when I started going to my parents every night and all that stuff. And just, I obviously don't want to lose Chrissy, and I don't want to lose my parents. So I'm in this like complete, position where I either lose all my friends that I've known my entire life and my parents, or I lose Chrissy, who I'm in love with, and I deep down know is not right to leave her. And that's why I'm trying to figure it out. But I'm so screwed up here with all these.
Well, plus there's all this information
thoughts
going on in your head that is unresolved questions.
I'm spinning and I'm reeling and I'm just whatever.
Yeah.
So, happens every night. We're talking, blah, blah, blah. Boring. To go back real quick, when I came back from Flag, when I met Chrissy and I was trying to get with girls and stuff, I was at St. Hill, and not my twin, but I was working with her and I was helping her, was Marika.
Oh,
Marika Bacchus.
Brousseau, yeah.
Brousseau now.
Yeah.
Bacchus at the time. And she was on Student Hat, and I'd just come back from Flag, so I was star rating her and coaching her and helping her with all that stuff. And we got pretty close. We became good friends, but she was engaged with somebody else. And I never wanted to stir the pot or cause any problems. She's a cute girl. It was whatever. We were teasing each other, but it was never harmful, And her fiance at the time, Mark, I don't remember his last name, but he was from Birmingham, York. Anyway, he started getting pretty protective over her, and rightly so, but as the weeks went on, pretty aggressively, like, he even told the Regis one point, the guys trying to get money out of him, that he would donate money if they beat me up. Yeah. And you can ask Marika this. I'm sure he'll deny it if he's ever asked, but this was...
Jesus.
Yeah, and I didn't know about this till way down the line. She never told me that, but we definitely talked, and he confronted me about stepping and moving away from Marika and not speaking to her ever again and that kind of stuff. And I was like, hey, dude, I'm friends. I get it. Anyway, I have a point to this.
Yeah.
So my parents, every night we talk, and one night they said, hey, do you remember Mark? I was like, yeah, that douchebag that was engaged to Marika. And I had no idea Marika had blown. When I was at Flag and stuff. I found out during that week because she was one of the people that came out or something like that on the blogs. My parents told me, they're like, hey, Mark may be swinging by tonight to talk to you about things. I'd be like, no, I'm good. I don't like that guy, Like, well, he might just swing by. He has a similar opinion on... He's been through something very similar. Because he was in love with Marika, and... Except they went opposite ways. He was the hero in Scientology's eyes and left her and bailed her out for crap, and broke her heart and whatever. And so...
they want you to do what he did.
Yeah, they want me to do what he did.
Right.
Exactly. So because they found out from Osa that there was a similar scenario going on that had happened and a positive note had happened out of it.
He had stayed with the church.
That he had stayed with the church.
That being the positive note.
They wanted him to get me to realize the same things that he realized and break up with Chrissy and just move on.
Right.
And they're like, well, he may come, he may not. And after speaking with my parents for a few hours, he arrives at the door. And we sit down in our living room, and my mom goes in her office, and my dad goes in his kind of corner of the living room, which is where he was working. It was a pretty long living room. So my dad can hear the whole conversation because he's 15 feet, over there. And I'm sitting next to Mark. And Mark is like, first off, I want you to know that everything between you and me and Marika and all that stuff is water under the bridge. Okay? No, I have no no grudges, nothing against you. I just want you to know that. I'm like, okay. I was over this like,
Yeah, you're like, whatever, dude.
yeah, okay. What do you want? And he starts pretty much telling me how much of a wimp I am, and how if I stay with Chrissy, I'm letting the SBs and the enemy win, and I'm letting Scientology lose. And he's calling me a pussy. He calls me a pussy. And my dad in the back, I remember looking back, and he nods and says like, yeah, something like that. And I was just like,
this is supposed to change your mind. This is supposed to handle you.
Well, it's kind of breaking my heart
to
see my dad nod, and he has a point in one way or another, because I don't want the SPs to win. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And he's like, look, I've been through it. It's okay. You know, you'll come through on the other side stronger, and I'll find somebody better. And this wasn't meant to be if it's so hard. And I don't remember exactly what he says, but he gets me to completely break down. I mean, completely break down. And I start crying, and because I start realizing that as a Scientologist, he's right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a normal human being, he's completely wrong. But as a Scientologist, which I still was, he's right. And I start crying because I realize that the right thing to do is to break up with Chrissy and to move on and to figure it out. So after a while in this conversation, I'm just crying, and he's like, okay, you need to break up with her. And I say, okay. And he goes, you email her right now that you're done. I'm like, no. He wanted me to email her and tell her that we were done so that I didn't have to go speak to her. I'm like, no way. I'm going to break up with her, but I'm going to do it face to face. So he drives me over to her house. And I go in there, and I'm bawling, and I'm like, we need to speak right now. And it's freezing outside. She's in her pajamas. So she just grabs a hoodie or something like that. And it's freezing outside. It's pretty much kind of sleeting. You know, it's like half snowing, half raining. Freezing cold. It's like a humid cold in England, and just miserable night. And Chrissy and I just walk down the road, and he is parked outside her house in the car. She doesn't know this. And he's like, I will wait for you here. I'll drive you back to your parents once you're done, once you're over. Here's my number, blah, blah, blah. And I walk down the end of the street, and I'm trying to tell Chrissy, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. She's like, can't do what? She has no idea what's been going on. Because earlier that day, I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to tell my parents I'm done. I was pretty much done with.
Had your parents made it clear that if you stayed with her, it was disconnection time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So this was crystal clear now.
Yeah.
There was no waffly about the decision that was being made.
Not only that, but I would also lose all my friends,
right?
All my staff members, all the teams that I was a part of.
Right. They actually had said these things. Like,
yes.
This was on the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like no remorse almost, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But they would say it in a way that they would just expect me to choose them over Chrissy.
There was never any question in their mind that, well, of course.
Yeah.
Like, look, lose the bitch. Like,
yeah.
There's no question.
Yeah,
here.
my dad would tell me things like, there's plenty more fish in the sea, screw Chrissy, whatever, you know. So anyway, I'm trying to get these words out of my mouth, and Chrissy's like, you can't do what? What are you talking about? And eventually I say, us. And she flips out, and she starts hitting me, and she's like, what? She starts hitting my arm, and she's like, after all this fucking traveling around, and after all this back and forth every day, now's the time you're gonna break up with me? And I don't want to forget this, but this whole week, Chrissy was like, listen, if you need to break up with me, I get it. You can't lose your parents and your friends. You have to do what's right for you. So my parents, the good best people on the planet Earth, Scientologists, are giving me this horrible ultimatum. And Chrissy, who, you know, I love, is
Doing the exact opposite.
is doing the exact opposite.
Yeah.
You know, and she's not pushing me away. And she's crying and I'm crying and I tell her that Mark's there and then I'm gonna head back and she's like, no. She starts running towards the car and I pick her up and so she doesn't hit him or speak to him and I just say, let's just keep walking and talking, and then still trying to make sense of everything. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm still trying to understand what's going on, and I'm crying and I'm telling her it's not going to work out, but I don't want to break up with her, that I still love her, but that I can't lose my parents and my friends. And she's like, I never forced you to do anything. I never, you know, this whole week I've been telling you to just go to them, you know, and after sticking out with you this whole week and flying back and forth between America and here, getting hotel rooms, now you're going to break up with me? And I just say, yeah, I just can't do it. You know, I'm still shocked from the conversation from before. And this guy, Mark, in the meantime, is texting me like, come on, man, just pull it together. I'm here for you. Let me drive you back to your mom and dad, and I'll come pick you up right now. Where are you? And he started driving around the neighborhood, and we saw his car, and we hid behind another car and stuff. And then that was it. I mean, we'd broken up. That was the end. I was going to do Scientology, I guess, and somehow get all my questions answered. And I think 15 minutes after I'd broken up with Chrissy, we were still together. Literally, we were together in the street still.
Mm-hmm.
Clearest moment of my life, I just woke up. It was just like a ding. It was just
the clouds parted, the angels.
Clouds, yeah, literally all that.
Sudden clarity.
And I realized it wasn't her, it wasn't Osa, it wasn't my friends, it wasn't my parents, it was Scientology.
Right.
And I really realized for the first time that it was Scientology as a whole forcing me in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't Chrissy, and it wasn't Sam, and it wasn't Marty Rathbun, and it wasn't Mike Rinder, and it wasn't Mark Headley. It wasn't anybody but the teachings of Scientology as a whole.
Right. That's right.
And it was all the references of Scientology. It was all the policies. It was the group forcing me to do these things I didn't want to do. And I realized right then and there, fuck him. I really did. I was like, I don't have to follow these policies. It's the weirdest thought to somebody who's just watching it. Like, yeah, no shit, you don't have to follow them. But
Right.
when you're born following them and trusting them without a second of a doubt,
Mm-hmm. Your entire
entire life, like
you're raised
that's how you're raised, right?
Right.
I mean, if you're raised, you know, eating popcorn every day and that's what you have to eat for breakfast, then maybe that's just what you're going to eat for the rest of your life. Or
Right.
That's probably a horrible analogy, but
Well, we could stretch it, but yeah,
But-
it's, you know, there's that thing. You didn't have any other reality in your life,
no, and
so this was huge.
And I realized for the first time in my entire life that I did not have to listen to RH. I did not have to be a Scientologist. I did not have to do what my parents or Scientology were telling me to do. I did not have to do anything, and that if I wanted to be with Chrissy, that was okay. It was more than okay, because that's what I wanted to do
Right.
in the first place. And that if my parents and my friends were going to disconnect from me and stop talking to me because I wanted to be with the person that I love, that they had no space in my life. And right then and there, it was like 1,000,000 pounds just off my shoulders.
Yep.
And the last 6 months of being at flag and sec checks and courses and reading policies and all the nightmare that just had been building up in my head was just gone. And I was done with it.